time. It loves to feed, it loves my past. It's always taunting, but somehow out of grasp. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. It talks to me, it holds my hand, it showers me with things I can't understand. It has no reason, it knows no time, it's constantly watching, so it's not left behind. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. You 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 know I'll never be the same again. Can you hear me? 'Cause I'm lost, and I may never come back again. And while my heart keeps holding on, I know I'll never be the same again. 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 I know I'll never be the same again.
What's up, everyone? DJ Anubis.
And DJ Neko.
Here with you on the Middle Town Radio podcast with another episode of Global Unscripted. And this is where we basically start talking a little bit about politics or social issues, drama,
Controversy.
internet stuff. And this one's actually, usually we try to do like a couple of topics, but this one I think is just going to kind of be one where it's a lot to talk about.
It's compounded. It really is, because like you and I have been talking so much about this lately. I think because you're just really into all these these cheater scandals when they get caught. And
Yeah.
So, and I don't know what that says about you, but
Well, and that's a good point. Like you said to me, and we agreed. So basically, there's like these AI YouTube clips, and then of course you have the CEO from Astronomer getting caught at Coldplay, and there is a sense that when you watch a lot of this stuff, it kind of brings back negative feelings and can put you into a negative mindset. But I think part of it too for me is also the opposite. So shit that happened to me when I was a teen, when it came to a girl cheating on me, it really kind of changed my view about relationships a little bit and scarred me. And you had something similar with someone you were involved with back in the day that kind of did the same thing to you. In fact, twice. Like once you were in like an actual relationship, and then that went sour, and then somebody you got involved with, that turned into a whole other fucking thing. So sometimes these are kind of therapeutic because I can go through and I can kind of just vent and remember like the pain that it caused. But it does bring in issues of like, if I watch one before I go visit your mom or I'm going out to somewhere, I'm like, I'm still thinking about like, fuck, I don't want to think about this right now. I want to think about something else.
that's why I watch cat videos.
Yeah.
I mean,
So then sometimes I'll do that. So then I'll go watch something really nice where things are great. But it does bring a certain idea to me that like, you know, it's outside of those little clips. You see other things where, you know, we have this thing going on with men and women right now where it's sort of divisive now. I can't give you percentages on exactly how much of it is, because sometimes just like with politics, you have the right, you have the left, and you have like a lot of people in the middle.
And then whatever poll you're taking, you're going to get different subsets. So you're never going to have like, you'd have to interview every single man and every single woman from all walks of life to really get a sense. But then like if you're just taking like small like samples.
Yeah. And so, you know, right now, like the idea that, you know, there's always this constant battle of the sexes where, you know, for a long time men were, and even now men are still kind of seen as dogs when they mess around on girls. Like it doesn't matter if it's in a relationship or marriage, they're always perceived as just selfish dogs. And then when women do it, we always kind of tend to make these excuses as the guy was toxic, he wasn't very caring to her needs, which is something that some doctors say is exactly the reason why women cheat, is because they're feeling like their emotional needs are not being met. But to me, it's all just the same thing. Like for both, to me, it's selfishness, because you and I were talking off screen a little bit about this morning, that, you know, a lot of times when men will generally do it for sexual desires. Women do it, like my theory, of course, is more of a business transaction of sorts, that even though she may love her husband, or, you know, eventually essentially get married to her husband, it's because of the security that's there. But then now we have the side guy who's the exciting guy. He's the one that's like, you know, maybe that Adonis in the bedroom or whatever. And that's where that excitement comes from, because maybe the man is working too much in the real life and he's not able to like be there all the time. So she kind of finds this other attachment elsewhere. But it's still selfish because she's hiding this from her husband. It isn't like this open relationship. But, you know, the whole idea of the topic of today is like, why have men retreated from women in terms of the dating scene? And, you know, I see on X sometimes women are like, you know, as a woman, I don't want a man who's sitting at home playing games all day.
I know.
But then you see women, other women are like, who are actually playing video games. They're like, well, I have no problem with that because I play video games all day. So, but that's the thing, right? So it's all dependent on what you're expecting out of your relationship to begin with. Now, I was telling you this morning, there was like this clip that I'm going to show a piece of soon. As to going back to my theory about like women when they get into relationships, at least the modern women. I can't say that about the traditional housewives of the 50s and 60s, but as time has gone on, women seem to like, you know, they'll get involved with someone because, again, like he's maybe very good educated, smart, semi good looking. But then if she can upgrade, she'll always have like that 1 foot out the door. Like, you know, it's like, okay.
Well, back in the 50s and 60s, like women were just, you're going to find yourself a husband.
Right.
You know, you had to find yourself a husband. You did not have as much available to you. Yeah, women were going to college, but then they were going to college and getting married, finding a husband.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what they were supposed to do. Like that's, and it was kind of forced into their heads, you know, you need to find the right husband. You need to find, you know, someone who can take care of you. And, you know, I say, luckily now women have more options than they ever have. Is that affecting traditional relationships? It might be. Maybe it's a little bit on both sides, that men are also, they have more things available to them than they never had before. There was no internet. There was no internet dating. I mean, there was like personal ads that, you know, you had to answer a personal ad in the newspaper kind of thing. But I think it might go on both sides, that, you know, women are becoming more educated. They're trying to have their own careers and lives. And for me, I was always determined to be able to take care of myself. And I just wanted to have a partner who enhanced my life. I did not want it to be where I felt completely dependent on somebody. I wanted you in my life. Like that's how I went into relationships.
Yeah, and you said it pretty much from what I heard another woman say about the enhancement. Like, so women say, you know, when I have a guy in my life, I want him to bring something that it makes my life better.
Mm-hmm.
but there's also this issue that I see a lot, and you and I, we kind of run into this problem a little bit, and I am going to be interested in your position on it. But another thing that I think that oftentimes women, when they cheat, it's because they feel like the romance is dead. And while I think it's important to keep that spark going, and that's one of the reasons why I really never wanted kids, because I knew that it's a big responsibility. And it also means sort of like compartmentalizing your emotions, your feelings, your love. You have to divide it up between the kids and your wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always knew that I was always going to be just wanting to concentrate on my significant other. And you and I now, even where we are now, are doing pretty good in life, but you can see how busy we still are. So we still have to find that time. So could you imagine with kids how much more complicated that's going to be? But and I'll call my ADHD is kicking in already. I've already forgotten what I wanted to say about this, but
kids, wife, love.
Well, it's just that, yeah. So, obviously, I wanted to make sure my attention was going to be on you. And back then, with the old traditional housewives, it was like, they were just meant to be the caretakers, the housekeepers, the ones raising the family while the man made the money. Your my situation is different. You are the breadwinner, and I'm the one that kind of just takes care of the other shit. Even though I get a little bit lazy with that. But, I know it was the accountability. So you feel like the romance is kind of dead, but I think that's kind of a bad outlook. And the reason why I say this, and other men have said the same thing, is that women, when they say that accountability is like boring, and so they start looking for excitement elsewhere, that tells me that they don't understand what stability actually means or what love actually means. Because love to me is, you and I have found a life together. We're happy. Now we can still work on things, because marriage is always a constant working. You always have to constantly work on it. And so you and I always, even if we run into ruts, we find ways to find time to do different things and get back that romance in a sense, right? So, but women oftentimes will run away if they don't try to work on it.
I'm going to have to agree and disagree with you. A lot of men forget that you still have to date your wife. You have to. You've said it. You literally just said it. Like, you always have to keep working at the marriage. Mm-hmm. But a lot of men, they get the woman, and then it just turns into, this is it. You pursued a woman, you helped her, you took her to dinner, you showed her attention. That's why women go and get attention elsewhere, because it's not for comfortability. It's because the what's the right word?
Well, I say that because if it wasn't for the comfort, well, if it wasn't because of that, and this is where you and I, again, we talked about this. My issues isn't so much that I don't think the women doesn't deserve the things that they want out of a marriage or a relationship. My issue is, a lot of times they'll do these affairs and not tell their partner. So it's deception that bothers me. So it's like, okay.
That I agree with. But what I'm saying is just putting it into, well, a woman gets comfortable now, she just wants to go get excitement, isn't what, at least what I think it is. I think it's not just about being comfortable. It could be they're dealing with their own personal identity crisis. A lot happens with women my age because they're, getting ready to go through menopause. They're feeling all kinds of new things. They're if you look at the suicide rates in women my age, like between 40 and 50, it's insane. Like because your hormones are all over the place. But what I really mean is, a lot of times the woman's affairs are much more emotional, and they're much more complicated, I think, than men's. And
Well,
I
it's
think
definitely much more emotional. Men generally do it for sexual desire and opportunity, whereas women, as you said, it's just more an emotional thing. But again, for both, in my opinion, whenever men and women cheat, I think that it's a big disservice to try to hold on to those other relationships or marriages. So, like, again, when I say accountability, it's because the reason why the woman won't leave the husband is because she loves the stability that that brings, but she wants to have the cake on the other side, the side piece as a bonus.
yeah, we know lots of people who've done that.
Yeah, and that's the shit that drives me
And
bonkers. It's like, if
it's
you're really that unhappy,
Mhm.
just leave.
And
But
they won't until they get caught.
right, and so that's the problem.
But then but again, 180 it, and I'm not saying that the man deserves this, but 180 it is what was the root. We do this at work all the time. Let's get to the root cause of what the problem is. It's going to be different for every single couple, but a lot of women, like you said, they say that their needs were not being met. They felt like they weren't being paid attention to,
But if a guy says that, right? If a guy says the same thing, the reason why he cheated is because he wasn't having his needs met. Why do you think it is that men don't get the benefit of the doubt like women do when it comes to that?
Because we've labeled men as just like sex whores. They a lot of times you see when it happens, it's a man, and this is again a stereotype, but going for a younger model, getting a younger woman that is hotter, that he's more attractive to, and then when it all comes to light, you see the wife and again, maybe she is in her 40s and she's not as excited to sexually anymore, and she's going through her own thing. Again, cheating is wrong regardless. I'm not saying cheating is okay. What I'm saying is we tend to see more, or men get caught more than women do. And I think that's why the women seem to get the benefit of the doubt, because you'll say something like, well, something must have been really bad at home for a woman to outside.
There are some interesting cases where, and you're right, it is a tendency to be more complicated with women because, like, let's say she's in a relationship that's very toxic and the guy is very abusive in some way, right? Well, then she'll find that love somewhere else. But that sometimes, in my opinion, like, you're better off just leaving a situation than kind of doing the cheating, because the cheating, if he finds out, you're probably good as dead at that point, So to me, sometimes when a woman will cheat because of the bad issues, it will lead to worse, because if he finds out, it's going to be a really big problem. Not that either situation is good, because even if she tries to leave on her own, he's going to probably still be possessive, and you have to go through the whole course with like their restraining orders and all that shit. But I kind of get that. I understand that a little bit more than I would just the, like, I'm bored housewife and I need to have this excitement because my man is working 24/7, even though he's trying to provide a good home. But again, you and I will talk about this later, about the communication aspect of it all, why that's so important. But let's check out this clip of this video. Now, it's only a 15-minute video. I clipped it down to just a couple of minutes because I'll leave the full link in my description box. But this is basically Joe Rogan talking to this, like, evolutionary psychiatrist or psychologist who's talking about why women cheat versus men. And part of the reason why women do has something to do with good genes. So, like, kind of goes back to if you take like a nerdy guy that the woman's married to, even though he's somewhat attractive, he's not like built like a brick shit house, right? But her fair partner is like Idris Elba, fucking gorgeous, Adonis, right? So sometimes when it comes to kids, and so this is a trickier thing, because let's say the wife has an affair partner and she is in a relationship with a guy that's, let's just say black for the hell of it, right? And the kids, she wants the kids to look good and built, and they're going to grow up to be just like their daddy. Well, that's a problem for the husband because let's just take away the black aspect, make it a white guy. If the husband doesn't know the affair was even there, he thinks those kids are his, so he's the one paying for it. So she's kind of doing two things here. She's making sure that her offspring are going to be athletic, strong, good-looking young people. And then on top of that, the other guy is going to want to provide the college, the education, and all that. So it's kind of a weird thing. But yeah, let's hear what this guy.
Let's watch the clip because you gotta, yeah.
So the only way it would work, though, is if getting back to your original question, is if there's a large discrepancy between the woman's regular partner and her affair partner in terms of the quality of his genes. And so what these good genes dual mating strategy theorists propose is that there are certain markers of good genetic quality. They hypothesized masculine features, and there's a logic behind that. They hypothesized symmetrical features. So we are a bilaterally symmetrical species. So normal development, we have, our hands, our arms, our legs grow, more or less symmetrically. But there are things that cause deviations from symmetry. So mutations, so genetic mutations can cause deviations. Diseases can cause asymmetries, and environmental insults in a variety of ways. And so what the good genes theorists argue is that if the male is very symmetrical, then that's a marker that he's not experienced a history of disease or environmental insults, or a high mutation load, or has what they call a developmental system that's very kind of impervious to these insults. So even though they've suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, they still maintain that symmetry.
Yeah, so that's, I would agree with you. I think that he might have some points, but I think he's kind of like overloading it on some sense because, again, I think it has more to do with like a girl might say to herself, well, I'm with this guy. I married him because he's very stable financially, but I can't imagine my kids kind of looking like this growing up. Like maybe not so much from the disease factor. Like he's really going off like on a very far thing there. It's almost like X-Men, like mutation type shit going on. But he was talking at one point in that video about, not that one I showed, but just in the general video, that women oftentimes would just keep that one foot out the door because they do want the stability of the home, and they also want the excitement that the other person brings because they are like more exciting in the bedroom or whatever, which kind of got to my point about my theory and how men and women treat cheating. Because again, men, we're very visual creatures. It's really more about, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, rather than like, me wanting to start a whole other relationship. Like whenever I see guys that actually do that, like I try to have 2 and 3 girlfriends that they're buying shit for, I'm like, why would you want that? Like you've asked me once, like, would you want like a second wife? And of course we're joking, right? But you're like, would you want a second wife? It's like, fuck no, you're enough as it is. Like, I don't want to be dealing with 2 of you. Like,
I'm a problem.
No, but you know what I'm saying. It's like you wouldn't want 2 of me. Like that's a nightmare. Like, right. So, but now if I said to you, do you want Idris Elba?
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole different ball game, right? So yeah. So
I think a lot of stuff that like that dude was saying doesn't really hold water because he's basing it 100%, and that's what he is, on evolution theory. I don't have kids. I don't have a maternal instinct per se. I really never was 100% on board with wanting children. Definitely not in my 20s. In my 30s, I was like, if it happens, it happens. Like, we just took out the birth control, and I said, if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to say
this is a bad idea.
This is a bad idea. That was one night. This is a bad idea. Guess what? I didn't get pregnant. I'm not meant to get pregnant. I had some health things that were went on, and it went on for a while that I didn't even know were a problem that
Right.
prevented me from getting pregnant, which is fine for me because I was not hell-bent on being a parent. It was not something, I mean, you see how I am when I get woken up and I don't want to be woken up. Like,
You did today.
I did like getting waken up this morning. I was already kind of up, but
Yeah.
but I honestly, if you're gonna base it just like all women have, like in your lizard brain, you're just thinking about like procreating and creating better versions of yourself by picking better partners. I think that's kind of horseshit. Like, yeah, maybe somewhere far back in your brain, but
Yeah,
it doesn't like really resonate with me, because let's just take children out of this and talk about cheating. Like, I think it's a very personal choice.
great word. One thing I hate is to say it's a mistake. It's never a mistake. It's a choice.
It's a personal choice, and yes, it can be a mistake, but you chose the mistake. Like,
Right.
you and I have talked about, I have a very, for me with cheating, if let's say he was out partying or whatever, and he had an affair. Oh, my stomach is growling.
I heard that all over.
Guess mama's a little hungry. But for me, I could forgive a sexual affair a lot easier than an emotional affair. Or if you were constantly like texting someone or online chatting with them, even if you're not physical and you're not seeing each other, but you're there and you're constantly talking to the person that you should be talking to me, telling me things, or if you're talking to that person about me, and then you're building a connection, which is almost like disconnecting you from me. So like if you are out there talking to another woman and you're just bitching about me, it's putting a wall in between me and you, and that is very, very deliberate.
Well, and that's why I said to some people, like sometimes you'll hear stories where women who, let's say the husband catches them on, you said texting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She may not have had sex with that guy, but,
no, but
emotionally she's already detached.
Yeah, and that's to me worse.
Yeah, and that's still cheating. Like,
it is a worse kind of cheat than okay, I went on vacation with my girlfriends and slept with the pool boy because he was hot. That's a little bit like, oh, for me, if you said that I'm going on a guy's trip and I slept with a stripper, did you, first of all, please wear a condom? We know. I don't want you coming home with 17 STDs.
right?
But, and yeah, maybe it hurts my feelings because I'm like, I really like you to have sex with me. But it's something I would get over so much easier, because let's put it into perspective.
But they also say that, and why do you think this is? They say that women tend to forgive men more than men forgive women. So,
because men see themselves as the head of the household.
Alphas, yeah.
Yeah, they're the ones. So they are like, I'm the boss. Women are always a little bit more submissive, even, but I'd still forgive you. I'd forgive you. I mean, we've talked about this unless you actually found someone else and wanted out. If you had, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I'm too old to fight.
Yeah, I think I definitely know if I had an emotional affair, you're like, you see all that shit behind you?
That came from.
That's gone.
The emotional affair thing is what, because you are the person I connect with the most. Let's be honest about this. Who do I talk to? Like,
well, you and I both agreed that even before we even said it, that, the person that you attach your life with, no matter what, no matter if you're gay or whatever, that's your best friend. That should be the person to be your best friend. That's who you talk to all the time.
But a lot of couples aren't like that.
And that's, again, it's a communication issue. We see a lot of times where young people will jump into relationships really early and that, or not what everyone dates, but I'm talking about marriages. Like, they've been dating for
maybe you
6 months or
maybe you
married.
don't know the person, and then you
Right.
don't look forward enough and say, okay, well, how well do I know this person? I don't know.
Now, the other conundrum that I've always kind of battled with since I was a teen is there's the old adage like nice guys finish last. So why is it, do you think, that from a woman's perspective, that maybe not for, so much for yourself, but just other women, like when they constantly complain about these guys that fuck them over and cheat on them and do all these things, but then when the nice guys are there that want to treat them well,
Because they're beta.
and that's why you think they just keep choosing the bad guys?
Well, not necessarily. I hate to say bad guys, but maybe
Well, bad boys.
or not even bad boys. Like, let's just take an alpha type person. They're not maybe, and not even out to be like misogynist or anything like that. Just a very
Yeah, but I think
strong, hold on, very strong-willed man, very sure of himself.
Mhm.
That is what, a woman will be more driven to than a guy who's kind of quiet and shies away, because traditionally in our genetics, women are looking for that caretaker. So if a woman feels like she's the one who has to take care of everything, she's not going to want, I mean, I dealt with that, and it ended I was engaged.
Mhm.
And I had been with this person for a very long time. We were adults by this point, and we basically grew up together. We really loved each other, but I could not go forth in a marriage with a person who knew that they had severe health problems and never took care of themselves. And I couldn't be the nagging, bitching wife every day, because that's what I was. Did you eat? Did you check your sugar? Why are you eating ice cream? Why are you know what I mean? If you don't have enough like self-respect of yourself going into a marriage where, and it's proven because he's only a year older than me and he's very, very sick. Whereas knowing that I would be so, from his own actions and not being careful about his health, put him into a position where he's, by the time he was 44, having triple bypass and kidney problems and liver problems, and because he just didn't take care of himself. Now, the flip side of that is, yeah, those things could happen just because of, his illnesses. But if he was exercising, eating the right things, doing, and then it happened, I wouldn't have been like, oh, I wouldn't have been as mad. And just taking advantage of me and my money, working, everything. So yeah, and he was a very nice guy and someone I tell you this all the time. I just had to stop talking to him because he was a nice guy, and then he would be, a nasty asshole. And the last like couple of interactions I had with him, he was like really shitty to me, and I was just trying to be nice. Still trying to be nice because I've cared for so many years. That's why nice guys finish last, and then they get an attitude. So,
well, it's because they're hurt. Now, granted, his situation is a little bit different, then, but again, some of the guys that women will get involved with, when I say bad boys, are the ones that we talked about earlier, don't have anything to lose. So let's say you're dating a nice guy, but you're still sleeping around with the dude that's like, again, the bad boy who is probably even sleeping with someone else besides you as well. So like, but why do women keep making those choices?
Because they're not satisfied in what they have. You can say that about men too. You're not satisfied. You're seeking something else outside of marriage. Like, I made the choice not to get married because I was not satisfied. All I could see was everything was going to fall on me with very little help. And there was a lot of expectations from him put on me. Now, you know what? Internet, world, I'm not even going to dox this person, but you lost out big time, buddy. You could have been a well-kept man. You could have had all these toys that are behind Anubis. You could have been able to have a wife take very good care of you just by being nice. Think about what do I have like the expectations from you, Scott? Like
Love and respect.
yeah, and the dick. So like
Love, respect, and a dick.
So that's why like I'm probably the easiest. I'll be like, did you do this today? No, I got lazy. All right, well, let's do it now. I'm not.
Well, it's not like, again, it's not that we've never had struggles, like,
And it does help that I do make a good living.
Even beyond that, like
Mhm.
you talked about it earlier. There was a period where I was in a very, very dark place. Some women don't. I've seen women say, it's not my job to carry you or support you during this time. Like, you need to, like.
But then I
grow
saw
it back
100% of my job, because all I ever, like, I was so scared for those years, just worried I would just wake up and you'd be gone.
But that's why I say that, like, I'm very thankful for you, because people, men and women, that don't know how to have balance or don't know how to, what actually being with someone actually details. Like, when, I'm not like a Christian person in terms of traditional marriage, in the sense of, like, because we're going to talk about some of the issues with the conservative right and left when it comes to dating, but I am traditional in the sense that once I've made that vow to someone, I live by that vow. That it means something to me. A lot of people say marriage is just a piece of paper. To me, it's not. It's a commitment, and it takes work. And you know this as well. It's not always been easy, and I'm not always the easiest person to live with. We talked about how counseling is something that, even if it's the smallest thing, if you think that it's going to create an issue within your marriage or relationship, maybe just go, as you would say, you said it perfectly, is like a reset. You kind of have someone on the outside take a look at what's going on.
And we've done it twice, like,
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like a super long-term thing. The first time we did it, we tried one of those new, like, online, and I knew immediately, especially after a couple of, like, sessions, I'm like, this is not the right counselor for us. And then but the one thing it did was got you and I actually talking again and being on the same page, because you and I were completely like because I was out on a ship, and you and I were side chatting each other. Like, I don't know. What is this guy talking about? I don't.
Well, that was a problem, because, again, and I would recommend this to anybody: don't do online therapy, because being in person, this person can see you, your emotions, they can see you face to face. I don't want to totally dismiss this person that we talked with the first time. However, when he started listening to Neko talk about her issues with me, he's immediately going to, oh, well, this guy's toxic. You need to get away from this marriage. It was, I'm like, what?
And I said, I don't think he's toxic. I think he just, I say something and he interprets it as something different. And
yeah.
And that's 100% like what our problem has been ever. And then when we went to the in-person counseling, she listened more than she judged or said anything. And then one big thing she said is, you guys are arguing about two completely different things.
Yeah.
And you don't even realize that you're having two different arguments.
Yeah. And so even, she's really nice. We went for a month or so, and
I think we went for 8 sessions.
Yeah. So
like every other week.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was beneficial in the sense that, again, it lets you listen to someone else who's not even involved in the marriage, kind of just give their input. And she wasn't judgmental, nothing like that. So, but it's good because it does make you reset a little bit.
I remember the one time, you and I were going, and we always went on a Saturday morning, and he was kind of like kind of bummed out and not in a good mood. And I'm like, what's wrong? And he's like, I don't know if we need to do this anymore. It's making me feel bad. I was like, what do you mean? You're like, well, the last time you guys really kind of went at me. And I'm like, really? I'm really sorry. I didn't know that you were so upset about the last. So when we went in there, I said to her like that, I started off, I was like, I don't want him to not think that this is beneficial, because last time he said he felt like we were really like going after him and saying, not just like, it was me probably just voicing my concerns about like, this is what I'm upset about, or this is why I am having problems, and this is why I need you to listen to me, or blah, blah, blah. And then she like gets her little notepad and starts, and she's like, oh, yeah, we really did, didn't we, last week? And I'm like, it shouldn't. I said, I wasn't trying to be like, and that's where he gets in his like mind a lot too. He's gotten a lot better. I mean, when he was having his real emotional,
I tend to internalize a lot.
Yeah, and he starts like spiraling, and then it turns into like, why are you even married to me then? If you're so unhappy, why are you even married to me? And that's kind of like where I was like, we're going to counseling because I want to be married to you.
Right.
So
but that's why it's still important to be in that counseling space, because even though she recognized as a psychiatrist, like what happened the episode before, she can sit there and still not like, she'll smooth it over, but not in the sense of like, yeah, we were a bit harsh on you, but there were still some points that were valid that Neko made that you need to address. But she did come back and kind of say, yeah, we were very harsh. We shouldn't have really kind of just dumped it all on you at that moment. And so, but she recognized that. So like, but again, communication.
And I think, there are times where I'm like, I communicate with Anubis very well, but there are times where like I am so concerned about like expressing something, because then I'm afraid he's going to either internalize it or do the same thing where he's like, if you're so unhappy, why are you even married? And he does that because instead of just looking at the one little tiny thing, it just starts spiraling in his head, which is something. And I sent you that article. If you have ADHD, there's something called rejection sensitivity, and it happens a lot with people with ADHD. So as soon as as soon as you make a mistake, or as soon as somebody says you did that wrong, or whatever, it starts compounding in your head, and you're starting to like think, I suck. And I'm telling you, he went undiagnosed with ADHD for a long time, and he's now trying different medications, and he's learning different things and talking to his doctor. I think a lot of his depression was part of being undiagnosed ADHD for so long. And then he got himself into a depression and couldn't get himself out.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, I got an article here by Men's Health. Now, this is from 2017, but I think because of how much worse I think the dating scene has gotten between men and women, I think it's still really.
I don't even know if I could date. Like, I mean,
it'd be a nightmare.
I would need. I don't know. Like, God forbid something happened to you and I would become a widower. And then let's say, oh, maybe I want to go and have a date just for some social company. I don't. How does it work? You and I met at work.
Well, it depends on what you're looking for, because like this article is why women cheat. Now the thing is, like,
what would I be looking for? Just a date.
That's what I mean. Company. That's what I mean. Like, so.
Like, because I'd be alone in this big house. I
right.
So,
but like, it's funny because you would be at a stage where, okay, my husband, who I love very much, is gone, but now it's just about kind of just having fun. I don't need to have a serious relationship here. I don't have to get remarried. It's just companionship, having fun.
I'd probably go hang out with all the old ladies in my mom's neighborhood.
But like,
join book club.
But then if we think about like some of the women, and the younger women now, like, they're spending their 20s being independent and just kind of like having a bunch of sex and all this other stuff. So one of the things that the modern man has kind of like been worried about, and it's been brought up a lot, is body count. So like by the time the girls get to 30, they're asking themselves these questions like, well, why are men not coming out to date us or trying to do this and this? And then when men are like, well, it's because your best years are behind you. You just spent like 10 years in your 20s fucking everything
So
under
you're
the
saying
sun.
my best years were wasted on you?
Well, I mean, technically, you could sit there and say, you could say that if that's how you felt. If that's how you I don't feel that.
So wait a minute. I thought my best years are right now. I'm looking better than I have in forever.
You are actually. She's
I
a fucking hottie, man.
I don't even know what happened. I'm having a 40 glow.
This is why I gotta take the shit away from her because I need to put her some pounds against her so she doesn't leave me.
Because like I think about it now.
Because he's like, my husband don't care. He's playing video games all day.
He's bored.
Yeah.
He's playing Diablo. No, I just wonder that too because I hate hearing like your best years are behind you.
Well, and let me clarify real quick. This happens a lot more with the guys that want families.
Yeah. Okay.
So like.
Now, because then they're 30 and because women have a timeline.
Yeah, that window's closing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
That's why when I was 30, I was like, I really don't want kids, but if it happens, it's fine. So I'm just going to allow the opportunity to present itself if it happens.
Right. But I'm going to get into that with some of my disagreements with the conservative right. But let me do this article real quick.
Pull that up. Let's read it.
So basically, it says, when it comes to cheating, it seems that men often get the bad rap. That's very true. While there may be a fair amount of male philanderers out there, it's entirely unfair to say that burden falls on them exclusively. Women can be just as guilty. Our sexual urges are just as strong. Women cheat just as much as guys. That's true, too. I do believe that. Even though women try to say that it's still mainly men, I think it's more balanced now, especially with the more independent woman of the modern age. It's important to note that both empirical research and my own clinical experience and my practice display instances in which women seem to be cheating more and more, says Ashley Quinonore. I probably butchered her name. Sorry about that. More women in the workplace, which has created a dynamic shift in
Anubis just fucked up a word.
Women may feel more empowered, yes. And, again, like I'm all about the like with my wife. So Neko is the breadwinner. I support her. I've always supported her, especially when she's had tough times in the business area, like with different companies where I saw firsthand like sexism taking place. Like I was very angry about it. But
it's so funny though, when I did a complete 180 and went like blue collar, how much nicer the men were to me then.
Well, and that's the other thing too, right? So you're one of those girls where you can actually be one of the guys. Like a lot of women will look at something and say, "Oh my God, that's so sexist." But I've seen you with some of your coworkers, and you're more of a sailor than they are, and they get like have to stand back and say, "Oh my God, girl, like hold up." Yeah.
There's no HR out on the ship. Sorry, guys.
If women are not feeling emotionally supported, admired, or that they can have fun with their partner, that there is an absence of excitement in the relationship, or that the partnership is not prioritized, and this can lead to affair.
That is key, right there. Not
But I should. No, it doesn't make it right.
No,
though.
I'm not saying it makes it right, but that line right there is that their partnership is not prioritized.
Yeah.
That I feel like is what ends up happening with a lot of women. Seriously, like for whatever reason, either they've lost a spark in their relationship, or they feel like they're not being prioritized, or they do not feel like their husband or whatever is grateful for them, or they can be like, Jesus, I have been at work all day and now I come home and now I'm cooking, and that's what it is they feel like their partnership is not prioritized. And I think that is the truth about women in relationships. You need to feel, and I admit it, I need to feel like I'm important.
And we mentioned this. So according to Denton, women look for something they are not getting emotionally. Women also tend to be drawn in more frequently by a partner who is seen as smarter, stronger, more protective, more available, higher educated, and more understanding than their committed
I think more
partner.
available is
That's the big, yeah. But that, again, we come right back to like, I can't see my issue there is that if you have a husband and he's like working his ass off to provide a good home for you, kids, or if it's just you and him, that should not be a penalty.
No.
But that's what's happening because these women are saying, yes, this other person is available. They might be hotter. My man isn't giving me the emotional needs I need, but he's tired because he's at work all the time. So that's something that women don't often consider in that. And again, this leads to the communication. So,
well, that's why you and I like yes, because I was gone a lot.
Mhm.
My last job, I was always working, even when we came out here and I was mostly remote, I'd be working all night. That's why we have a day.
Mhm.
I like Saturday, even if we're not doing anything, we are here together, right? Like that's
well, I mean, we're together a lot. So
no, but think about it. Saturday is what we don't go see my mom. We don't.
right.
It is our day. Whatever.
Well, like tomorrow we'll be with your mom, but we're going to be in a restaurant while she's gambling.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it is just for us.
Yeah.
On Saturdays, usually, like it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like today is Saturday. We're hanging out, doing a video.
Right.
It is Saturdays for us. We could just be sitting on our little fluffy couch, having some food, which I really want.
I'm going to go to La Sierra after this.
You're going to La Sierra?
Yeah, I have to have it today.
You're going all the way to La Sierra.
I know. I don't really want to drive, but I got to do it. So maybe on my way down, or you can call in the order, so I'll be ready when I get
Well,
there.
if we're going to La Sierra, we can pop off the T-tops and drive
I was going to get it myself.
You don't want me to go with you to La Sierra?
I got chicks to pick up in that Jeep. Now you can go with me. That's fine.
We can take the T-tops off. And...
Yeah. It's a nice day. To the last paragraph. So before you write off the fair sex as the enemy, it should also be noted that Denton has seen a pattern of women being much more forgiving than men cheat. Yes, we talked about this as well. Men, on the other hand, have a harder time getting past the betrayal. Yes, this is one thing that I've stated in my personal belief for myself.
Once a penis has been thrown into the mix.
Is that... Well, so... Now, is
it the penis or is it the lie?
Well, here's the funnier thing for me personally, right? If Neko came to me and said, I cheated on you, but it was with a chick, I'm like, ooh, that's hot. Like, I'm not going to really do
Oh,
that.
my God.
But the funny thing is, like...
That's really not fair.
It's not. And that's the weird thing, right? So
you wouldn't feel like...
Now, some guys, I saw a video, this guy comes home, his woman's like basically straddling the face of her friend. And he loses it. He's pissed. He's kicking him out, but she's trying to keep him calm. Now, he's really mad. Granted, she's cheating. Cheating is cheating. Mm-hmm. And, of course, she's on video kind of bad-mouthing him a little bit. But nevertheless...
If you walked in with me having...
With a chick, I don't think I'd be near as mad.
You'd be like, probably, whoa,
and the reason
can I watch?
Well, no, and for the reason is this. And I said this about when I talks about, like, you've always asked me, well, why do you not want to watch two men kissing versus two women? I said, well, easy. Women to me are more emotional. They are more sensual about how they love.
Is it just the two beards kind of throw you off?
No, it's just that men are more primal. They're like, it's grunting and it's like, ugh. There really isn't any like sensitivity like there. We're just built like fucking machines. Women are just, I love the thing about women is they're nurturing, they're beautiful, they're sensual, tender. Men don't generally be like that unless they're just in a romantic mood with their lady. Or men. It could be men that are very romantic. But the reality is most of the time you see them on screen, it's more just like Brokeback Mountain type shit, right?
I don't think that should be your gauge for,
I'm just telling it from my point of view, right? So if you were with another girl, I'm a little bit more forgiving there. With men, I'm not. And
so if I told you I had one penis and 12 vaginas, but it's more vaginas than penises.
Yeah, I wouldn't care.
So I had this one penis. It was like 5 years ago. No big deal. You'd be like, yes, it's a big deal. Well, I just slept with like 12 girls since we've moved out here. Oh, that's not a problem.
It's not.
This is recent.
I'm
This
like,
is a
did you? I'm
5-year-old
like,
dick.
did you at least fucking record that shit? Like,
This is
what
a
are we doing?
5-year-old dick we're talking about that I just never told you about, but I was going to be honest. And you're like, I need honesty. Tell me about the 5-year-old dick. Oh, I'm mad. Okay, well, I have 12 vaginas that I've slept with in the last 3 months. Okay. Is that really?
Really? But again, it depends on the person. Some guys will be like, "Fuck you, bitch. You've been cheating. I'm out of here." And some guys
But it's also
some
a
guys
pattern.
take that. Some guys take that far more personal.
Mm-hmm. It's a pattern too. Like, we were talking about this earlier because I always, and you don't agree with me 100%, but you do kind of see my point. I can forgive a sexual affair easier than an emotional affair, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if I could get over an emotional affair. I could not, like, I would just be sick. I'd feel terrible thinking like my husband is talking to this other person who,
because there's a bit of a neglect.
yes. So, but you brought up a good point. Well, what if I did it multiple times? And I'm like, well, then that's a pattern.
Right.
That is not just like.
And that's something that some psychologists have said is kind of a problematic thing, because a lot of times if a cheater does it and the person forgives them, well, then the cheater kind of takes advantage of that. And they say, well, this person really loves me. They're going to continue to support me and forgive me. So then all of a sudden they find themselves in another predicament where they can't cheat again, and they'll do it. And then if it gets found out, they just kind of appeal back to those sensitivities of their partner. And that, it continues to go on. And that's why for me, once the trust is broken, that's it. Like, I don't, and now granted, like I said, my situation is different because I'm older and I'm at a stage like it's too much energy for me to get like that mad. Now, if you would have asked 18-year-old Scotty about cheating, she knows stories about the girl that fucked me over. Like, I destroyed everything except for her. I never put my hand on the girl negatively. I don't believe in hurting women in that respect. But I fucking was pissed.
He
like,
chainsawed her couch in half?
No, that wasn't. No,
that wasn't her.
I kicked out my tail out of my car. I punched holes in my wall. I was so fucking angry, dude. And I wanted to take her face and just smash it in the concrete. That's how angry I was, but I didn't do it. Didn't do it because it's not the right thing to do. And she would have won anyway. I would have been in jail and serving the rest of my life.
And it's kind of interesting for me, like, when I would get cheated on, I have the opposite. Like, I just retreat and cry.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but some women, they get out there and they're destroying property, spray painting the cars, and that leads to their own problems. They end up fucking in jail too because they've allowed that man to emotionally manipulate them with not only the cheating, but then to get them all that, because I mean, look, I believe in love. I believe in caring for people. So, one person, I saw this woman the other day. It was about the firefighter. I don't know if you know the story. He's from New Jersey. He was celebrating his 40-year birthday with families from both him and his wife. He has 2 kids. It became a national sensation after he videoed this. So on his birthday, he was sort of doing this like re-proposed to his wife. So, young, she was an influencer. So he pulled out this box. He was going to take the old ring, the wedding ring, and put a new one on. So he got the old wedding ring off. And then what he did was he kept it. And he said, I know about you. I know what you've been doing. And she was cheating. And he had proof. Now, the thing that makes this whole video crazy is at first, nobody knows what's going on because he kisses her very strongly, like not so much violently, but just strongly. You can tell that he's angry. She's drawing back because she's not seeing this coming from a mile away. Then there's like whoever is videoing it. One of her friends, I think, is like, "Oh my God, he knows." So now you have friends who know about what's going on. So he goes and, she's trying to plead to him, like, what are you talking about? There's this other girl and one of her friends coming up asking what the fuck's going on. He's telling her, he's like, I have the evidence. If you want me to show everybody, I will. That's when she kind of walks away. And then he says, anybody at this party that like still supports this whore, leave. And pretty much it was just her family that kind of just left. Like he put it all out there, all out there. So this woman who does these drama videos, she's like reacted to this, and she's like, I don't necessarily agree with the way this man handled it, because some people thought he should have just kept this on the down low
instead of recording it and putting it out there.
And she's like, well, what you've done here is you made it clear to her that she got the better of you. And I said no. I said no. I said, one thing that women hate the most, or the one thing that women love the most, is their reputation and image. You strip that away, they have nothing.
Especially if she's an influencer.
Yes. And so they do have kids, but we don't even know if the kids know about the situation. We don't even know if they were at that party. We just have no idea. So some people are like, well, what about the kids here? I'm like, I don't know. If I'm a kid, and they're probably pretty young anyway, but if I'm a kid, I want to know why my mom fucked up my dad's marriage. Like, I want to know that. But nevertheless, exposing them publicly doesn't allow her to change the narrative. And plus, she's like, you got so mad that she walked away knowing she got the better. I said, no. He showed he gave a fuck. He was angry because he was hurt. That's why.
I also think you have such a problem with cheating because of your dad doing what he did to your mom for years, right under her nose.
Yeah.
And like paraded it in front of her. Like it was, oh, this is just a good friend of a family.
It's frustration because she went through a lot of years denying it. Even when it was clearly obvious. It was that denial.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, my mother is old school. She's very much from the 60s and 50s and stuff like that. So her sense of marriage, and now my parents are also Christian, at least my mom. So, she's living by the forgiveness book. And that's her prerogative. Like you and I talked about it when it happened, that the possibility we might have to have her come with us, because I was like, I don't know if she wants to stay with him. And that would have changed some things in our life for sure, especially at that time when we weren't really doing quite as well. But,
we were just getting together. We were just in our apartment.
Yeah. But, she chose the latter. She chose to go and, forgive him.
And maybe, she might have been kind of like what you're saying now at your age.
Yes.
Like what?
Because she was already.
She had to be in her 60s when it all came to.
50s or 60s, definitely where I'm at now. She's, and I think I said that to you, is like, I don't think she wants to start over. Like, that's just not something she's willing to do at this stage. So, and obviously because of what happened with the affair partner moving on to somebody else, after she probably figured out, this is never going to happen. Because granted, they're both adults, but it's clear that my father was, I don't want to say grooming. I hate using the word.
Stringing her along.
Yeah.
I don't want to say grooming either, because she was in her 20s when she met your father.
Exactly. So
she's not a child.
Right.
She knew what she was doing.
But she was younger, and she probably thought that he was going to leave her. That's usually
and he
what happens.
strung her along for years and years, and state after state.
So yeah. So when I see it firsthand, and I saw it in my own life, with just even on a dating level, it leaves scars that you're just like, fuck, And I try not to be too biased, because I know men do it to women, and I know they're pretty brutal about it at times. So like, it's not like it's just a woman problem. But in the modern age, within the last 10 years, we're definitely seeing a shift a bit more of how women are talking more about independency. They're talking about more about like how they want to get theirs. There's women that are out there to talk about like getting their bag, like the very things that I'm talking about in terms of the 1 foot out the door. They're just making sure they're financially secure, but they're going to have their fun on the side. It's all really, a dangerous thing in terms of relationships, because one, it could lead to violence. Men do get angry.
Mm-hmm. And you admitted it. You got super, not violent to the person, but violent to things.
Right. Like in my head, I'm saying this is what I would like to do to her, but because I'm smarter than that, I didn't allow my emotions to do that. But some guys.
But that's what a lot of guys' emotions do. It comes out more aggressive. Like where I was, every time something awful in a relationship would happen, I would curl up and internalize it to me. I'm the one who's the problem. How come he did that to me or whatever? It finally, though, right before I met you was like kind of the crowning glory of the Tony saga when it all finally came to light, and he knew he was really good at pushing my emotions, and he kept me on the phone all night. He kept calling me, and he wouldn't. Every time I'd hang up on him, and he's telling me he's going to.
Kept me up all night too when she fucking starts dating me. Get to bed at 3, I have to get up at 5 to go drive. I'm like,
you were moving. You and Chris were moving.
Something else though.
You were moving the very next day.
But is that the same night I did acid?
We didn't do acid?
I thought I did because I remember. No, I did. Well, I did that when I went to Lollapalooza too. I wasn't thinking that night. I took the acid and you got to be like 6 a.m. I'm still tripping. I'm like, wait a minute, I got to go to a concert today.
No, we went out and I kept you out all night. You went on a little tour of my friends and
yeah, I remember that.
He was like,
oh, that's right. That was the first night. I got back at 5 and I think I slept for maybe 2 or 3 hours and I had to get up and go help him move.
Because you guys were moving to the new place.
Yeah.
And
that was brutal. I was so tired that day.
And then we ended up going out again on Sunday.
Yep.
And I kept you out at a much more reasonable hour.
Okay. Now here's the other thing.
Okay.
So some women I see in some of these videos.
But why we work is because we just sat and thought about how happy we were to meet each other.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't keep that in your mind.
Well, and this will be a good question for you to kind of answer. Like, okay. This is why I like the female perspective here, because some women, in some of these stories that I watch, they'll say, I did this. I went, I flirted with another guy, or, I was having an affair because I wanted to see if my man would fight for me. And I say to myself, well, why would a guy fight for someone who's not fighting for him?
Exactly.
And so you agree. So I that's what I would say is like, women need to stop pretending that it's just the man that's responsible for fighting for your relationship or your love or your marriage, because women have to do that too.
I just said a few minutes earlier, I was so, when you were in your dark place like 10 years ago, it was all like consuming for me. Yeah. But then I did get to a point where I said to you, like, I don't know what else I can do.
That was a turning point for me. Not that I didn't still face dark times, but you and I were in the car. I remember this specifically. And I was actually bawling. I was really upset. And you were crying. And you just said to me, like, if you do something to yourself, there's nothing I can do. You were pleading with me, like, not to do it, obviously, but you were also being honest, like, if you're going to do it, there's just nothing I can do to stop it. Like, I won't be able to watch you 24/7. And it just kind of clicked to me, like, yeah, it's being unfair to you because here I am, I'm in pain, but it's hurting you because there's nothing you can do. And that's a lot of times when people lose people to suicide, it's like they feel guilty because they feel like they should have done more, but there's really nothing you can do, because once that person has made that decision, it's going to happen, and either it happens or it doesn't. And so I really had to kind of just take it upon myself. I do think that's around the same time I actually started seeing a counselor for a little bit to kind of fucking work through some of that shit. It was more for me than for us at the time. We weren't really having that many. It was causing issues in our relationship, but not because I wasn't doing something right to you, which is because we were trying to get me fixed. That was what it was about. But even that was kind of a weird thing because it was like, he wanted me to write my parents and explain to them, like, why the shit that happened when I was younger was a catalyst for what I became up now. But I was like, even if it was, and yeah, I sure put some blame on Pinky for some of the shit that happened.
I put like 95%. You know how I feel.
But I'm not somebody who's going to dwell on that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and
you move past it, and
Yeah.
you're also mature enough that you don't have to be BFFs, with your dad. You can still have a conversation with him, and you can still, and you're not going to drag him down at the end of his life and say, you caused me so much.
Right. I mean, it would be easy to do that, but again, maybe it would have happened if my mom had separated. Like, that would be easier to detach all that.
Mm-hmm.
But for her sake, because she's still with him, and for this, and again, like, I don't want to dwell on all that shit. Like, to me, my focus is you and our life. I don't want to be worrying about any of this other bullshit.
And we're just trying to, like, I know a lot of you see us like, oh, they're the, best couple. And we are. I think we're the best couple ever. But it's, we haven't talked about everything that's ever happened. Like, the stuff that was going on with Anubis was very serious. Like,
Yes.
very, very serious. It was eating me up inside and out every single day.
I would say even before I met her, like, from my age of 25 to at least 35 or 40 was some of the darkest times I faced. Yeah, without a doubt.
And it was crazy because, like, I didn't even suspect it because we were very happy when we met.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that took the edge off for a while, like the newness and the happiness, and then getting married, buying a house. Like, it was everything was, good things were happening.
Right.
We were living together. We were happy. But then, what happens in life?
Job losses.
Shit was sucking out. We had no money. He was out of work. I was out. And that's just like, it
that
snowballs.
1 year when I lost my job and then you lost yours like a couple months later, that was nuts. And then we thought, okay, well, it'd be great because you can do this computer training. This will lead to new doors opening. And then that turned out to be a farce. And so, I mean, but that's why I can appreciate Neko, because, again, this is what being in a relationship and in a marriage means. Like, you have to work at it. You have to work through it. And thank God for her, man. Like, there were times like I was always worried about money. And she's like, trust me, it's tight, but I'm getting it to work. We're going to be okay.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah. And so any woman in a man's life that's willing to stand by you, even in the darkest times or the most struggling times, like, that's somebody worth being with. So I love you and thank you for that.
I love you. What's your next article?
Oh, well, okay. So I have bullet points basically. So the next one is like, now when this started, it had a purpose and a very important purpose. So my question to you is, did the MeToo era do more damage than good?
I don't know.
And the reason why I say this is because some men have said, and I kind of said it in jest, even though I'm not totally joking, is that people like Harvey Weinstein are pieces of shit and they deserve to rot in hell.
And that's what brought this all up.
And so that's where you knew that, yeah, they need to address this. This is the kind of shit that's not needed when it comes to business, women, relationships, whatever. Like, this is the worst side of men that you're ever going to see. The problem is that it much like a lot of these other movements that happen that we see, they become, it just broadens out, and all of a sudden,
and it's
and
like
now if I go to touch, like, let's say one of her friends, I touch her on the knee, but she thinks that's sexual assault, I'm fucked. Like, that's how easy it is for some woman to claim that, even if I'm not intending it in that way.
But I'll reverse it. It's like, it's not about your intent, it's about her.
Right, but have we really gotten that far to where we can't do just the simplest things like that to get your attention? Like, I remember watching, now, thank God Emma didn't do this, but Emma Watson was at one of her premieres for Harry Potter. And obviously she's older at this point, but a guy came up to her when she had her little pixie cut thing going on. And the guy's like touching her hair, right? So he's like checking it out. And she's like, she kind of swats his hand, but she's smiling. Now, she might have felt uncomfortable, but she didn't go and fucking call rape on him. Like, it wasn't like crazy.
Oh, are you saying that you think women are broadening the term of sexual assault?
Right. So, and this comes back to some of the dating stuff. So, again, women say, well, men aren't really approaching us to ask us out.
That's because they don't want to get accused of date rape.
That plus, I said, well, the men probably are. It's just not the men you want. So if we'll just use Neko, even though she's not this type of girl.
Not that type of girl.
If Pee Wee Herman, not the star, just him in looks, came up to her and said, hey, can I get you a number?
If it was Pee Wee Herman, I would 100% give him my phone number.
I'm saying it's not him, the act, it's just his look.
You mean like Urkel?
Yeah, nerdy guy, just nerdy dude. Says, hey, can I get your number? And she's like, well, no, not right now. Thank you. I'm kind of involved with someone. But then Idris Elba walks up and says, can I get your number?
Yes,
like,
you can.
Give me your digits right away.
Yeah, I'll text you every day.
Right. So I think for a lot of women, it's like when they say that men aren't approaching, it's just that it's not the men they want. So again, we come back to the nice guy versus bad boy. And I don't know, like, again, you said it yourself too, that men are a little bit skeptical about like approaching women because a lot of women now are saying like guys that come asking for their numbers are being creeps. But is it creeps because they don't look like the guy you want? Or is it creeps because they actually are doing something, like they're too touchy or the cat calling type shit, right? So that stuff's not necessary. But if a guy's just simply trying to approach you because he finds you attractive and wants to see if you want to get coffee, well, that to me shouldn't be a reason to like say he's being a creep. Like,
yeah.
That term gets thrown around a lot on guys, and I think that's why it's a turnoff.
Shh.
Huh?
Remember?
Yeah.
Shh.
But let me move on to my next bullet point.
Okay.
And this is tied to two bullet points.
Okay.
All right. So you and I have seen the Whatever podcast a couple times. Now, sometimes the topics are good. I like the fact that they address certain things, but it is kind of jaded on both sides. So the host, Brian, and oftentimes his sidekick, Andrew Wilson, they're very conservative, they're Christian.
They annoy me.
Yes. And so I disagree. Like, I might agree with some points they make about dating and stuff like that. But then the other side is.
Yeah, because they're allowed to have all the sex in the world that they want, but they want a virgin.
Well, but that's worse than that. Is like, I think it was either Brian or Andrew. They're like, well, I want a virgin or I want a girl that's not that sexually experienced because I want to be able to teach her about sex. And I'm like, that's grooming.
And that's kind of gross.
It is. And so, and then again with Brian, like he's like fine with a girl going down on him, but will not reciprocate. And I'm like, well, that's not a man's man. Like, but these guys are more built into the traditional.
I don't even want to lump them into traditional because.
Well, I'm talking about like they're old school, like they're 50s and 60s type guys. They want their woman, house cleaning and taking care of the kids while they make the money, which. It's fine because there are women that don't mind being trad wives. There are women out there that don't mind this role because that's all it is about roles. I
would take that role if you were making as much money as me.
That's what I'm saying. But our roles are reversed. So I'm usually doing the woman's role. Like that's where I'm kind of at with myself. And that's fine because that works for us. But for these guys, the way they approach it though, but the problem with Andrew and Brian is that they spend a lot of time judging these other girls. Now, it doesn't mean these other girls don't have their fair share of issues. These are the liberal girls. It's the liberal side of things where you have a lot of feminists and you have a lot of women that don't have accountability. And these are women that have high body counts. And so some of that problem is that
So
these
what's a high body count nowadays?
having a lot of sex.
No, I understand like what that means.
Number-wise?
Yeah, number-wise. What would be considered a high body count?
That's a good question. And usually the men on the right don't care about their own body counts, which is also a bad thing. But I don't even know the specific number. What I can say is
Now I gotta
for
keep
these guys,
in
it's
mind.
probably going to be between 20 or more. I think they're going to see that as a high body count.
Like, I mean, I guess it also depends on your age. If you're telling me you're 21 and you have 20 guys.
And then, like, if we go back to like the adult industry, these girls that get run through, right? So they're doing these
Mhm.
films, which is their right to do. It's their freedom, whatever. Like, I can't knock it. I've watched porn.
Oh,
so.
you partake in the porn industry, I've heard.
But when it comes to when they're done, so when life after porn, right? So when they get into their 30s, like, and this is something I was thinking about with someone like Riley Reid. She was a big star throughout her 10 years or so in the industry. Once she hit her 30s, she wants to get married and have a kid, which she did. Now, some guys, when they look at a girl like that, they're going to say, once they've told them their background, they're going to be like, I don't want a girl that's been run through. Like, again, it's where I said about your best years. Like, that prime time to build a family is gone. That's how they look at it. But this one guy, if he knows or not, married her and they have a kid. But I said to myself, like, I asked you this earlier off camera, I said, well, what happens if she is in this marriage and even though she's happy with the kid and happy with the stability now that she has that kind of love, because he has a love for her, that's what she was looking for, right? But all of a sudden she's like, man, I kind of miss that excitement of just being with someone new. And she decides to go, even if it's not on film, to go back and just explore that. And I think that's where, if from my own observations, my own theory is that the kind of girls that have a high body count, I think that's the lifestyle they're kind of doomed to repeat because they're just too used to it. Same with guys who are often cheating. Like we talked about how if a girl forgives him, he's just going to continue to do it because he knows he's always going to go back because she's always forgiven him. So I just think that people that have these high body counts, both men and women, it's just they're doomed to repeat this at some point. Doesn't mean every single person will, because like even Riley Reid, she may never cheat on her
I mean,
husband.
like, what if you have a high body count, but it's just because like you kept dating and never found somebody that you wanted to stick with? Like, sex is an important part of a relationship. So, like, yeah, you don't need to wait, to the third date to have sex.
Guys like Andrew Wilson and them would say, well, why you keep choosing the wrong guys? You know what I'm saying? That's how they justify like denying you a relationship if they were like to come across you as a partner.
Yeah, I would never with them, but I can see it in some women have a high body count because they just went through relationships or they never settled down, or it's just their prerogative. They want to have a lot of sex and that's fine. But I don't necessarily think just because they're out there having a bunch of sex that maybe they were looking for love. And it just,
I'm
you know
sure
what I mean?
does.
And it just never happened. So they're just enjoying dating. And then boom, they find someone they love and they settle down. I don't necessarily think for a guy or a girl, like a guy could be doing the same thing, just dating, having fun.
But it is funny because there is that double standard. So men who are dogs and do this, womanizers,
they're looked at as playboys,
right? Whereas the girls are looking at whores. Mm-hmm. But in my case, if I were single, right, and I just happened to come across a porn star that had just gotten out of the
happened to come across a porn star, huh?
And she just got out of the industry. Well, I could sit there and say, well, if she told me, like, I used to be in the adult film industry, like, well, I can, that's fine if you're no longer in it. But I think in the back of my mind, I'm still going to sit there and say,
you're going to judge her.
Well, no. I'm going to say, well, can I really trust her? Like,
no. I'd be like, can I satisfy her? Like, she's been.
Well, yeah, and again, that's not so much her fault. That would be my own insecurity.
That would be your hang up. You'd be like, can I give her After
Because
she's
even if I'm giving her love and even if I'm being communicative in the bedroom and doing what I can, if she's like saying in her head, like, I miss fucking Idris Elba so much right now.
Idris Elba is not a porn star. He's
No,
just
but I'm just
amazing.
okay. You heard it here, folks, right there. Thank you. You know what I'm saying. Peter North, there you go. He's a porn star.
He's a real porn star.
Yeah.
There we go.
You know, but he's hung like a fucking donkey, right? So
Yeah, and maybe she was fucking Peter North last week, and now she got you.
that's what I'm saying. Like, so she's going to me, and it's like the 3-inch killer, and it's like, you know, what am I gonna do? Like, you know, and you want to love this person, you want a good relationship and build something, but she has this history where she's had some probably incredible sex. Like we watched that thing last night with the couples doing the lie detector test, and that one porn couple, like, even though they were very honest, like they were one of the most honest outside of that middle couple, but they were one of the most honest about their open relationship, how they saw, and even when they got caught lying, they were able to explain why it is they felt the way they felt in terms of their open relationships. But you know, they like I told you, I was like, they never got asked the one question that I would have been interested in hearing was, could you have a one-on-one relationship with the girl you're with now, outside of the open sex and everything else? They never asked them that. And I think their answer would have been, even though they would have been honest, I think they said, no, I would not be able to do that because I think they're used to that lifestyle. That's just, it's like the swingers lifestyle, right? So that's what they're doing. But I would have been interested in that type of question because that's something that I always found interesting about adult film stars is like, how do they handle personal relationships, especially before and after? Like some still date while they're in the relationship, in the industry. Usually it's with other porn stars. So it's like, well, okay, that makes sense because you're both going to probably, but I think there's also mistrust there. It's like, oh yeah, we're in the industry, but yeah, I'm not going to trust you per se. So we're going to have an open relationship because I know you're going to fuck anybody anyway, right?
So, do you think that's how open relationships kind of come about, where it's a lack of trust, but you want to feel like you're on board? Or
in that industry, yes. But here's the funny thing, right? So some of these little cheating stories that I read about or watch on YouTube, the girl will come and say, the wife will say, hey, I want to open up our marriage. And, you know, we should be able to see different people. But the funny thing about that is, and I truly believe this, is that women have a lot of sexual power. And when it comes to dating or attracting the opposite sex, women have a lot more higher success than men do. There's like a small percentage of men that can walk out the fucking door and the girls will flock like wolves. But that's percentage of men is very small. Most men have to really work at it to win a girl to come, you know, want to jump his bones. Women, on the other hand, can really walk out and just say, come here, boys, and they'll show up. We're just very primal like that. Like we're dogs in a sense. Like we are. We will. That's why when we cheat,
you think with your dicks.
right? When we cheat, it's all about, I just want to fuck the shit out of her. I don't care about anything else. I don't want the drama. I don't want to buy her shit. I just want to fuck her. That's it. Women, as you said earlier, it's more about emotional connection.
It's about feeling like they're not getting their needs met.
Right. So with these open relationships, you and I saw it firsthand.
Oh yeah, because when we were doing that, the couple that we were with, it was the wife's decision, and she was openly many people where the husband was not. And then when we all came into the fold and I was the first with this other with the husband, she got very jealous. And it was like, but everything that she did, she was always on pursuit. Like she really was on pursuit.
And she kind of took it personally when I no longer, not for any specific reason, I just wasn't that interested anymore in being with her in that way. But I didn't mind that Nico was still with this other guy. She, however, this is the funny thing that we laugh about, is that we were new to that kind of thing. We aren't like professional swingers by any means.
It was just brought to me.
And they lived that lifestyle. So the fact that they were more possessive about us than we were then, because we treated it just as such, just sex.
We went to the club.
Yeah.
There's a club that is a swingers club.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was actually kind of fun, but it was crazy.
Yeah.
And
but yeah, she was kind of upset. Like the husband was still kind of getting a little bit of her, and I wasn't there. But at the same time, we knew some of their secrets, and she was, as Neko put it, like she was doing some stuff that even her husband didn't know about. And I think that's why he probably admits or probably accepts their relationship marriage, because he knows if he closes it off, she's not going to keep it. He knows this. And that's kind of like going back to what I'm saying with adult stars. It's a two-way street. So adult stars probably won't date a normal guy because they usually get jealous. Like they don't want to see their wives on film or their girlfriends on film fucking other dudes, or even on the side, like, if he walks home and she's with another girl. So a lot of times I think adult stars, in order to avoid the complications of like monogamy, they just decide
the complications of monogamy
for them. Because like I said, it's a lifestyle for them. It's exactly like that. That's what they want. They want the sex with anybody at any time, whatever. Because they don't really look at one-on-one relationships. Like some people now, especially a lot of people now, are saying we're not meant to be with just one person. And I mean,
that's a lot of work.
Well, technically speaking, you can fuck anybody, yes. But when it comes to love and it comes to respect and loyalty, it is about one-on-one. That's why I appreciate you, because you believe in the same things I do.
There's no, and that's the other thing too, like when we're talking about cheating, you find women attractive, I find men attractive.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's natural.
And people should be allowed to say, I find this person attractive, or maybe not even attractive. Maybe you find there's some people I work with that are endearing, and you're like, man, I really like this person's personality or whatever.
I remember you with that ship captain, like you and Gina were fawning over that guy.
That he wasn't a captain yet. He was just.
But the point is,
he was just the first mate.
I didn't get offended by it. Like I said, he probably is. I'm not stupid. Like there are guys.
He's a captain now, but he was a first mate at the time.
I mean, if I told you how many times fucking she fawned over Shannon Sharp or fucking Chris Hemsworth, I mean, she does it, and I do it with girls all the time, celebrities or not. Like even with Lindsay, I was like, she's very attractive. She seems like a very fun chick, and I'm like, but I'm not going to do anything. Like,
but that's where I asked the question. Like, when does it just become like an attraction or an appreciation?
When you start trying to engage into, even if it's not a celebrity. So I know
that's what I mean. Like,
I know a while back, a streamer, I can't remember his name, had a girlfriend or a wife, and it came to find out that another streamer chick, he was like hitting up in DMs and like sending her like raunchy, like, hey, we should hook up. That's when you're stepping over the line. Like you can publicly get on video and say, for a streamer, you're very attractive. But if I start hitting you up privately behind my woman's back, that's when you've already fucked up. That's when you fucked up. You don't do that. Like you can appreciate, as you said, I can look at another chick, whether online or if we pass them on the road, like, well, she's very attractive, But if I start trying to engage and trying to like, hurt you in the process, whether directly or indirectly, because if I'm hiding it, it's indirectly hurting you because I haven't told you.
And then I'm wondering too, like, when is it? Because clearly, if you're going to cheat, you're going to find somebody that you have some kind of attraction to, and either you're, emotional cheating or looking outside the marriage, like making an actual, or just like, whoops, I fell in and slid right in and had a one night stand. When does it click in someone's head that this is the person that I'm going to have an affair with, is what I'm wondering. Because just as people,
I don't know. A lot of times, I can't really speak from the female point of view because I don't know.
I think it's the attention for women. Like you might might have like a coworker or something that you text just and you please don't think I'm saying I do this, but I have male coworkers that I've known and I text and we have like a whole group chat that we send stuff.
The difference is though in that case.
But what I'm saying is I think for women, it's when they feel like they're getting some kind of attention out of that they're not getting from their relationship. And then that's where the line starts to cross, when they start texting them more.
That's what I'm saying. Is it just them texting the girl, or is when the girl is reciprocating?
That's what I mean. Like the girl is starting to feel like I'm getting.
And a lot of times, like you don't hide shit from me. Like and this is one thing. Again, I've seen the videos when the guy gets approached. A guy approaches a couple and says, "Hey, let's play a game. Let's switch phones." And the girl's not doing it because she knows. Even if she's not technically physically cheating, she knows she's probably getting hit on by a bunch of dudes.
I'm not getting hit on, but I don't want you to see mine and Gina's conversations over text.
But you'd still hand me your phone. You always did.
I would.
You always did. And I do the same. That's the difference.
Yeah. I'd be like, I'm not cheating, but don't read mine and Gina's conversation. I was mad at you earlier.
Well, I'd still read it and be pissed off. That's what you're saying. But no, see, that wouldn't really bother me too much because I know you're just venting.
Mm-hmm. Usually it is. It's usually like, God damn it.
Yeah, no, I found out that. Like that's, but it's just, if you were trying to hide, like you get those mail texts from coworkers, and if I say, let me see your phone, you're like, oh no, then I know something's up.
Normally it's all about how much,
stupid comedy. Shit. It's usually comedy.
Yeah, we're sending each other memes.
And usually she's like, hey, guess what? One of Scott's spiders got out.
Tyler lost his shit. He's like, burn that house down.
All right, I got the last article here I want to talk about.
Okay, sure.
This is brand new stuff. So I didn't even know this app existed.
There's an app?
It's called, yeah. You better not go to this.
Before we talk about this, I have gotten on Tinder or whatever before because I was being nosy, especially like back when we were in, not recently, but like many years ago. I just signed up and then I'm seeing people that I know who are on there that I know are married or and it's like, because you do it like by radius.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have to delete this because then they're going to see me and I'm just trying to be nosy. And then they're going to be like, oh, I was just trying to be nosy. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this app created in 2023 from a guy named Sean Cook, who saw his mother trying to date online and got almost taken advantage of by a catfisher.
Mm-hmm.
So he created this app called T. And what it does is
called again?
T.
The letter T?
No, TEA, like tea, drinking tea. And the purpose is for women to get on there and, as you said, within their radius, share their experiences with men that they dated that they feel are toxic or bad. So it's almost
Get the tea on your date. Avoid dating red flag men.
Yes.
Anonymous advice. Background checks.
Yes. So here's the thing. In theory, this is not a problem for me. However, what's happening is what happened recently within the last 24 hours, somebody hacked it, exposed the women that are on there, their license plates and their driver license numbers. So the issue that I have with this app, okay, let's say you're getting on the app and you had a bad experience with a date. What they're doing with the app is they're actually sharing information about these guys that can be seen by a lot of women. On one hand, you say to yourself, and pretty much, I don't mind exposing bad people, especially when they're cheating. But what do we do with this app where what if they're
saying like a lie?
Bingo. What if it's a lie? That's defamatory. So let's say they say, you know what? Because like one example in this, I got this article here from CNN actually.
Well, apparently it's very buggy. It says this app was great until it stopped opening for me.
Well, one of the things says, what was it in here? the idea was like if a woman said, I went on this date, but the guy made me feel like he was a child predator, and let's say he's not. So then that leads to bigger issues. And then, of course, now people are mad because whoever hacked it exposed a bunch of women when they were just trying to be
dicks.
Well, dicks are just trying to share their experiences because they're trying to protect. I mean, I don't mind women trying to protect themselves from bad people or bad guys, but there is a line that you can't cross. So, like, if let's,
it all needs to be. Let's put it to you this way: it all needs to be anonymous. If
you talking about just the women, or talking about the people they're talking about?
If you're gonna do something like this, it's gotta be anonymous.
Well, one of the reasons why the creator made it so they had to show their ID or their legit information was they didn't want people to scam in there.
Yeah, I get that, but on top of that,
but my issue is this is just like another edition of doxing, though. So you're taking guys that you had a bad experience with and you're doxing them. So what is to prevent another girl who might have been burned by the same guy from going and harming that guy?
It's true. Or, maybe
or defame them, as you just said. Like there's a lot of complications in here with this app. And at the same time, I don't really think we should totally do away with it, because women do need that space to protect themselves from men who might be abusive, physically harmful, or not trustworthy.
I mean, for me, you have to make it almost super, I don't know how to put this. Like, you see how at the top it says you can label a man a green flag or a red flag? That should be it. That's it. It should,
yeah, I agree.
There should not be like, it should be, okay, this is Joe Smith. He's a green flag.
I would, yeah, but then again, are you putting the full name? Are we putting pictures of the person? Because that's kind of like what they're doing. They're showing you the man. They're telling you the man. I think they even know where the address of the man is. I think. It can't be 100% certain because
yeah, you can't. I don't think you should be able to put addresses. I don't. It's
right.
Just, okay, maybe Joe S, because that's how it is. In Tinder and all. It doesn't say the person's like full name, but I clearly knew who some of these people were.
Right, and that's sort of what this is getting at. So the inclusion of men's names, identities, and information has triggered people to ask: does the app enable users to violate others' privacy rights?
I mean, it could be like Joe S. in Millsboro, like we're in Millsboro. That's still
kind of risky because you could still do like a Google search and find a person.
Well, you have to be able to say like, I dated Joe S. in Millsboro and he's a green flag.
Do you remember? So when that Kepos thing was going on, you remember when we were talking a lot about that?
Kind of.
There was this site that they were bitching about a lot that was apparently doxing people. It was I forget the fucking name of it, but it's a really big deal. Steven now. But they were kind of off and on facing legal issues for the shit they were posting on there. It's almost like Reddit, or like 4chan, but it's not. But
I think I do. And then
but they were like, they're still existing. Like they managed to survive. And a lot of people look at them as like a good thing because they do expose bad people, but they also end up giving away a lot of information that can get, people hurt or whatever.
And that's why that one chick moved.
Right, exactly. So this is kind of the same case here where we have something that technically could be very helpful, but at the same time, if it's used in the wrong way, it could hurt people that aren't really, because like some girl that's just pissed off about a guy. So let's say she goes on a date.
And he makes her split the check.
Well, yeah, it's funny, but let's say they have consensual sex, but he's looking at it as a hookup. She's looking at it as a possible relationship going forward. But he doesn't. He ghosts her, or, he's like, hey, great night. We may try this again sometime. She's like, well, wait a minute. I thought we were going to build something. He's like, well, I wasn't looking at it like that. So she gets mad and she posts on this app, like, this guy's a fucking piece of shit. He's a fucking asshole, and tries to defame him in some way that really wasn't meant to be that way. So how do you prevent that from happening?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you should not. It should be red flag or green flag. That's it.
It's almost like the swipe. It's like, okay, so we have this guy, and you really can't post a picture because that's still fucked up. But as you said, Joe S. So you got him up there. Maybe say he's in Maryland. So we'll just keep it simple. Like we won't get too.
Yeah. Joe S. out of the entire
Yeah.
state of Maryland.
And you might be able to give a description a little bit because descriptions are hard to prove, like as far as like exact people. And say, yeah, I met him here, and then he looks like this, but I'm gonna give him a red flag, like he just wasn't very cool. And then you can kind of give your experience of what happened, as long as you're not, because this article.
I don't even think you should give your experience. I think it should just be red flag, green flag. That's it. If you start,
I would be fine with that, but if women that are using this app want this ability to kind of rip into them or basically this is their way to vent, basically.
I get it, but this is too much. Like
Yeah.
I could be put up there. You could be put up there.
Right.
So if you're going to put something up there that this person is a red flag, because the guy can't defend himself.
Right.
So just saying red flag, fine.
Red light, green light.
Exactly. But if you start putting stories up there that it just like you said, oh, I thought he thought it was just a hookup. She thought it was a relationship.
Yeah, that's the thing. How do you weed through that and find out who's valid?
That's why if you say red flag, green flag, that's it.
Yeah, that's a much easier way to
That's
go
it.
about it. Yeah.
Because if you see somebody who starts racking up red flags, that's a red flag right there.
Yeah.
Because that's a pattern, like we were talking about. It's a pattern.
But they're going to argue, of course, that, well, because we can't specifically name these guys, there's no way for a woman still to avoid him. I said, well, technically, yes. I mean, if you say Joe S. from Maryland, sure. Or the better way to do this is, let's say you do exactly like you said, Joe S. from Maryland, red flag. Well, let's say a woman who's in Maryland says, I know a Joe. And then she can hit her up privately.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can kind of like say, yeah, this person can tell you specifics about this person. Just can't do it publicly. So yeah, that's a good idea. So allow the idea to talk privately with these people that have had these experiences with a certain person.
Yeah, if you put something public, like
because once
on
it's up
Reddit
there,
or Facebook or Twitter or anything, it's up there.
Yeah.
And it's there, even if you delete it.
Yeah. Because even one guy in this article, and I don't know if it's truthful or not, but he's kind of like, hey guys, I've been found out, I gotta move. So that's the thing, right? So like now you have people that have to move because these women are posting personal information because they're disgruntled about the way that whatever engagement went. But now it's even bigger deal because someone hacked it and exposed the women, and of course women are losing their shit. But I'm like, it's fair game really at this point. But either way, the app needs to be addressed. They should have never had a backdoor because this apparently the people's information that got hacked was before 2024. So it's only like about a year's worth. But it was like 72,000 people.
That's just like when Ashley Madison got hacked.
Yeah, exactly. And there are problems. So Ashley Madison has a purpose, but at the same time, it was hiding a lot of cheating people.
Mm-hmm. And Ashley Madison's purpose was, I just want to have an affair and keep it,
And people take that personally, and that's why people were very upset about that.
So then when all the names are getting listed, it was a big deal because it was some people who were.
Yeah.
That's hysterical. Oh, I forgot about that for a minute.
That was a hell of a fucking thing, man. And, again, with that guy, that firefighter I told you about, some people were saying he should have kept it quiet. He shouldn't have brought it out in the open. And I said, no, because
I don't know.
The problem with women, I'm sorry to say, they tend to change the narrative. And this is kind of like where
I cheated because he wasn't paying attention to me. He's a firefighter.
Right.
He firefights.
Right. So if you put it out in the open and say, yep, she broke the vows, she could have left. She wasn't happy. She could have left, but she chose to stay and be deceitful. That to me is the bigger issue here. Anyway, I'm happy in my marriage. I love my wife.
A lot of cheating talk here.
It is, but this was something I thought that needed to be talked about because I can't give you data on how many people are cheating versus not cheating. I can't, the divorce rate is very high. It's in like the high 60s.
Yeah, why don't you think about how many weddings we've gone to and how many people are still together in their first marriages?
And women are oftentimes the ones that file for divorce. So it's unfortunate. Like, I can't tell you the perfect way to have a marriage except for being communicative, be loyal, complete your vows, work through your problems. But if you're someone that has open relationships, fine. As long as both people are aware of what's going on, knock yourself out. And that's really the thing, because you might get lucky if a girl says in your marriage says, I feel like you're working so much, I haven't really had me time, I guess, or have us being connect emotionally. Well, he can say, well, I'll still work on that, but if she says I've been having this side piece, it's like, well, I'll accept that as long as you're still giving me the business and I can kind of have my own little side. Like if he travels, he wants his own side piece, whatever, or experience with a girl. As you would say, in Thailand, what stays in Thailand is always in Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, like.
So again, it's communication.
Me,
like some guys,
a lot of those
girls,
guys.
Yeah,
that's kind of one of the reasons I brought that up in the first place. Like a lot of those guys, like they're home, they're good husbands, they work, they travel a lot, they send the money home, but they get a little action while they're in port, and that's why. One of the reasons I said sometimes you don't need to tell your wife.
Well, that's where I would disagree. Like this, to me, yes, it's going to make things miserable, and unfortunately, with him admitting cheating, she's going to take him for all it's worth. Men lose a lot in divorces, as it is. So that's one reason why he won't do it. But that the problem is he's still being deceitful, and I am very much against that. It's one thing. Like I remember Valley Bird in LA with Eddie Van Halen. Or maybe it was Heather. It's with Heather and Tommy Lee, and she's like, she married Tommy Lee for a number of years, and she said, "Yeah, I know Tommy cheats. It's just like, but he's a rock star, and I kind of accepted that when I got married to him." So she's already made it aware that she knows. Now, granted, eventually she just kind of said, "You know what? I don't want that anymore." So I'll move on to Richie Sambora. And that went that's course. But if the woman or man is willing to deal with like that issue, at least they know. But if you're hiding it, then that to me is the bigger problem, because you're basically using somebody and you're wasting their time. If a guy's cheating on a wife, you're stealing away years of her life where she could have moved on with somebody else that would actually appreciate her more. On a one-on-one basis, and vice versa if a woman's doing it to a man. Wasting so much time. Like even if you cheated like 13 years ago in a 20-year marriage, that man deserves to know that. And even though the fallout might be good or bad, it's important. Honesty is always important.
Would you feel like if that happened, like, and you said, okay, 13 years ago, I cheated on you, would you feel like the person wasted their time?
Not necessarily, but I'd be hurt. Like I said, in my case, I'm older, and
okay, well, 13 years ago, I had an affair, no big deal.
Yeah, because like 20 years is a pretty good dedication to marriage. And I think I saw a story where a woman said that very thing. She's like, it didn't work out for her in the end, but she said, we'd been married for 20 years and I had an affair for 4 years, like early in the marriage.
Oh, but see, that's an ongoing affair. I'm talking like I said, like a hooker in Thailand.
But still, like the first 4, and then she spent the rest of those years devoted.
True.
But in the end, when she told him, he called it off. He was done. But
then do you think he...
But she was hurt, but she couldn't understand like why he was still hurt. She's like, I still devoted myself. And even the kids were teenagers, they kind of resented her. So she kind of lost a lot. But to me, that's just consequences, because you did fuck up. I credit her for being honest years later. But again, if she had just come out early in those years and said, I had an affair for 4 years, and like say it's year 5, Well, then he could have said, well,
I'm not wasting my time with you.
right. He could have just moved on. So he's in a space now where he's like, I love this woman and she was good to my kids and everything, but then she's hiding this. So then he has to wonder, what else is she hiding? And at times, a lot of times why men have a harder time dealing with betrayal, because it's like, once we set our sights on a woman that we want to be with, more times than not, that's who we want to be with. Like we want to be the protectors, the caregivers. And
I am her protector.
Don't get me started on that. What you need to do is buy a new pair of panties.
That was last time.
Yeah.
Flung my panties right on your face.
So fucking funny. Which one of these do you breathe out of? All right. Well, that's going to do it for today, folks. Hit like and subscribe to the
please.
Meltdown.
And tell us what you think about cheaters.
Yeah. What do you think about this whole dating thing with men and women? And how do you feel about it? Or even just men on men or women on women? Like, we saw a couple last night that were lesbians, and they seem to have the bigger problems than the other two straight couples. So who knows how it may not be greener on the other side, as they say. But yeah, keep in touch. I'll be posting some stuff that'll be coming up this week, and we'll see you next time on the Meltdown Radio Podcast.
You see me before you die. Find the blood.